Surprise, it's Sunday, and we have a very special bonus episode because today we're going to be breaking down all things Secret Lives of Mormon Wives. We watched season two. You should have binged, we watched season one, and you should have binged season two over the weekend. Spoilers are ahead. There's a lot that we're going to dive into. I have some very special guests that are going to be joining me, but I hope you're ready. Let's dive in. You're listening to No Filter with Zack Peter, your go-to source for all the latest pop culture and reality TV tea, served fresh all week long. Now, let's dive in. And dive in we shall. Welcome on in, guys. Welcome on in. Happy Sunday. I hope you had a chance to catch my interview with Jen Affleck and Miranda. There's more to be spilled on Monday's episode. I have a Wives Tell All special that'll be dropping. So if you caught the teasers from Thursday or Friday, Monday, you're getting the full interview. I hope you're ready because there's a lot that we're going to be diving into. But let's recap this season. I binged all 10 episodes. There was a lot to get into. And I felt like I didn't want to talk about Secret Lives alone because these Mormon wives are driving me crazy and I have so many thoughts and feelings. And I've been seeing these two ladies all over the TikTok and all over X talking all about the new season. And so I figured, why not have them on to come and gab about it with me? Please welcome from Besties by Caitlin Marshall, and the one and only
Hi.
Bravo Babe. Hi, Christina.
Hello, hello.
How are you guys?
Great.
No,
Thanks for having us.
thanks for having us. It's a Sunday, and Mom Talk has been just the hot word the last 4 days.
I mean, no kidding. Everybody's talking about Mom Talk. We're seeing lots of TikToks about it. Caitlin, we got to see a special little feature of you in the new season as well.
Yes. Why I didn't do my hair that day is beyond me, but
It
yes,
always happens that
that
way. Every time Bravo has used a
every
clip of
time.
me, it's always on a day where I was like, could we not, like, there's so many better shots that we could have picked.
Yeah, could I redo it? I want to look cuter. No, it was pretty wild. I made that content a while ago and they reached out and said, "Hey, mind if we use this?" I was like, "Okay." I've been really anticipating the season coming out because I was curious in what context. And I have to say, personally, I was not expecting the exact context that we saw it in. That's for sure.
What
So
did you
how would
think they
you
were going
rate?
to use it?
Oh yeah, how did you think they were going to use it?
To be honest, I wasn't sure. I certainly wasn't expecting Marciano to come in verbally confirming it. You know, when I made the content, Jesse did come into the comments and say, "Look, this isn't true." So I said, "Okay." You know, I made a follow-up response to that. I've said before that I did happen to have a friend, unbeknownst to anyone else there, that was in the same room as them. And there was talk of there being definite chemistry. So, it was just kind of one of those things like, are y'all hearing this? Did anyone else see this happen? Type of thing. So, yeah, we're going to have to see how that plays out, obviously.
How would you rank Christina season 2 compared to season 1?
I think that season two definitely overshined season one. I feel like the ladies, like Demi, for example, really like found her voice and it turned her into kind of a villain. And we see the girls kind of, they're not characters, but they're playing their roles and they're really into it now more than season one.
Yeah, I feel like, I mean, you can see some of the egos. I think Demi had a really big ego this past season, calling herself like a fan favorite and then trying to, fight over money and overshine some of the other girls. I was shocked to see her friendship with Jesse fall apart.
Yeah. Yeah. I think any Bravo fan knows calling yourself a fan favorite is truly the kiss of death when it comes to being a fan favorite. I think the way Taylor approached being a fan favorite herself was absolutely the right strategy.
Mhm.
Unfortunately for Demi, the way she would continuously speak on how many brand deals X, Y, and Z person is getting, that to me, it starts turning me off of what it's about, even though we support, that's their whole thing, is getting these brand deals, getting the sponsorships. That's part of the social media aspect. And yes, I think it's great to, pull back the curtain on when they are getting those things. but we don't want to see them fighting over it not being fair. Personally, to me,
Mhm.
of course, Taylor would be the one going to something like the CMAs. That makes more sense to me than, sorry, but to me, if you're going to choose one, it's going to be Taylor.
Yes.
And, it was just kind of wild in my
Taylor
mind.
just has Taylor has so much more like star power and star
Yeah.
quality. And the thing with Demi is her and Jesse, I think, just look so similar that you can
Yeah.
almost mix them up in the first
Yes.
season. And that's why I think they were, and because they were such a package duo and there was no real differentiation between them, it just kind of, they kind of faded.
Hmm.
When I think mom talk, I think of Secret Lives. Taylor Frankie Paul is immediately the face that I feel like everybody first sees. She
Hmm.
deserves to be at the CMAs. What did you guys think of the CMA response from the other ladies? Do you think that she got the, praise that she was looking for?
I'm torn about it because for me, it's like they did technically say congrats to her behind the scenes, which I
Mhm.
think to me holds more weight. Well, I don't know. What do you guys like? What do you think, Caitlin? Does it hold
Yeah.
more weight to get the praise in the text personally, or is it better to get the praise publicly?
So here's the thing. When the type of world they live in, and the three of us know what it's like to be a part of content creation, social media. If you're not a part of that world, it looks crazy to see someone be like, you didn't comment and like, and all
Yeah,
of that. For them, that's everything. That is their entire
yeah,
business model. Now,
Mhm.
do I think Taylor's reaction was proportionate and on the most sane level of how someone should be responding to feeling unsupported publicly? No, but is it Taylor? That's how she handles things. Yes. I'm not saying it was correct, but I think it's one of those things we have to go, this is the way things are for them. And that's what's important to them is they are supposed to support each other publicly. And come on, we all know they were on their phones. Is it silly and petty all around at the end of the day? Yes. But that's their business. That's what they do. That's their livelihood. And for them not showing that public support is actually a big thing. It's something that someone for in my mind, I could have easily made content if I had noticed, oh my gosh, why isn't anyone commenting? And that's
Right.
where your brain kind of has to go sometimes is would someone be making content who talks about this saying no one was commenting supporting Taylor with the CMAs?
Mhm.
yeah.
So the people in her regular life will say, yes, that's going to be more important for them to be texting her, someone like her family, things like that. But for them, that's everything, you know?
Yeah,
Absolutely
I
right.
feel like what you do and what you don't do on social media both send very clear messages, right? And like you said, we're all kind of in this world. So like I'm always very mindful of like who's texting me behind the scenes, who's posting things
Mhm.
publicly. And like, I think it depends on the friendship, but when it comes to mom talk specifically, because they're also public and they're also out there, not supporting her publicly does kind of send a message, even if you're kind of covering your ass by sending a text message in the group thread. Because then, even in
Right.
the group thread, you're making it seem like to the other girls, oh, we're all supportive of you. But if you're not doing it publicly, I think that also sends a very loud message.
Yeah, it speaks
Yeah.
volumes. It does.
Okay, so
Mhm.
let's go through each of the ladies, and I want to know what you thought of their season two performance. Let's start with Miranda because I think Miranda was a total flop. I thought she came in with a
Really?
lot of promise. I thought she came in, I was hoping that she was going to bring more to the table, especially with, the swinger scandal. And then
Mhm.
I feel like by the end of the season, she just kind of fizzled out. And even when it came to the Taylor stuff, we got more from Chase in what that 1.5 episodes than we did from Miranda all season.
No, completely. I wanted Miranda to come out and kind of be more like, I think I told you, I wanted her to be more bitchy. I wanted her to have this like attitude of, I'm entering season two. I was originally with Mom Talk, so I know, the situation. I wanted her to kind of, I don't know, I just wanted her to have the energy of, maybe more confidence, maybe telling her side of the swinging scandal better than she did. I don't feel like she still told the full truth in the way that Taylor did. She's still hiding some of it, but I just kind of wanted her to be a little more, there.
Yeah,
I
she
see, I
didn't make
loved
any strong
Miranda.
alliances either.
Mhm. What
Yeah,
did you think,
I think
Caitlin?
so here's the thing. I think for Miranda, number one, we have to remember while she was part of like the public persona of the OG Mom Talks, she was not signing up to have her entire sex life outed. And we also have to consider how young some of these girls are. She's only 26 years old filming this. All of this happened, what, when she was 23, 24? I don't even want to imagine what that would have been like if my parents heard what my husband and I were doing behind the scenes. My God, and throw in the religious aspect, that had to have been nauseating for her. On top of that, I think who she is as a person, I think she's just a sweet person. Now, we haven't gotten to know her well enough. I would have liked to know more about her and really gotten to know her personality more. But I think we also have to consider she was kind of wanting to get back in. She was also wanting to just ease into it. If she came in guns blazing, no one would have accepted her back into Mom Talk. She wouldn't have made it on the further seasons. She would have been gone. And so she would have only served a one season purpose. And if she's going to play the long game, she does need to come in a little softer. I have a feeling personally we'll see more of the next season. So, I mean, I
I'm
just thought she was sweet.
hoping so. I'm okay. I was okay with the resolution we got for the most part with the swinging scandal. We talked about
Yeah.
it, but like Frankie ended up giving, or sorry, why do I keep calling her Frankie?
It's like your
It's a cute
nickname
name,
for
though.
her, right?
It is.
Yeah, it's cute though. I like it.
Taylor really gave us more of the details. We're like, well, yeah, technically it wasn't full on, but like, we were in the shower together, or we would just kind of, be hooking up with our husbands right next to each other, or there was kissing. And so it wasn't like, they were swapping husbands or anything. It was a lot of kissing and making out and like, a lot of naked action in proximity to each other. So I get that. And I was like, okay, at least we kind of got some answers with that. I wish we would have gotten a little more with Chase, but with Miranda specifically, I just feel like she really, I guess to your point, is playing the long game, but she just didn't make any strong friendships. She didn't have any strong alliances. I guess I'm so used to a new housewife coming in and kind of asserting herself somewhere. And then like Bose came into Beverly Hills and immediately attached herself to Dorit and was willing to stand up for Dorit and is willing to stand up and call out the other women. Whereas I feel like Miranda just kind of coasted the full season. And she is a nice girl, but I just would have liked to have seen a bit more from her, especially since we lose Jen pretty early on in the season.
Yeah, I think the difference.
No, I was going to
Go
say
ahead.
what you said, the age and the religion are two big factors that I really didn't put into play with her. I mean, so that was a good point for sure.
Yeah, I think there's a difference, when we look at housewives, it really is comparing apples and oranges because there's a different type of maturity and life experience that comes with them that they know who they are. They are ready to come in. They're not afraid. I'm not saying I think Miranda was afraid. I think she was just trying to get her feet wet. I think again, we're probably going to see more from her the next season because I mean, can you imagine the very first time you have all these cameras, you're mic'd up, you're kind of walking into the lion's den. And listen, I am always such a sucker for someone who I think is just a sweet person, like no matter what. That's why anytime I meet any of the reality stars, if they're nice, suddenly, even if I didn't like them, I'll be like, oh my God, I love them so much, even if I've been just like they're the worst the whole time. So, we're going to have to wait and see a little bit more from her, at least personally, before I fully judge how she is as a reality star.
Do you think she should have been invited to that last Mom Talk meeting that they had?
No, she wouldn't have said anything, I don't think.
No, I didn't think so either.
Well, that was her the whole season.
Yeah, she wouldn't have been able to contribute much to that. Plus, they didn't even let her back into Mom Talk yet. She's got to be back in to be kind of allowed to have a voice, at least I think in her mind.
True.
Yeah. What do you guys think of Jen? We lost her, episode 4 or 5?
I have
my
such
heart
a
broke
soft
for her.
spot for Jen. Yes.
Is she a liar or is she just kind of figuring herself out? What do you think, Christina?
I think she's figuring herself out and she's trying any different avenue she can to get out of this depression hole that she's in. I think that she was trying to engage with the girls and it wasn't working. She, was going through her marital issues. She was trying the ketamine therapy. They were trying different things. And I think this season, she really came to a standstill and she was like, these girls don't have my back. They are not my friends right now. And I have to focus on myself. And I think the best message truly to come out of the whole season was when they showed the message saying we decided to stop filming with Jen. We're going to focus on her mental health. I think that sent a huge message to reality TV just altogether that you need to take care of yourself and it's okay to, you know, whatever means necessary. And that's what she showed us this season for sure.
Mhm. I think it's both for Jen, though. I think there have been some half truths. And if you watch Summer House, you know half truths are not the truth. And I think that, my heart broke for her with the mental health struggles she's having, especially throw in the hormones from pregnancy. It's really a lot. And then you add in the factor of what some might consider possibly like a cycle of maybe verbal or emotional abuse. We don't know that for sure. We haven't seen enough. But when it comes to Zack, and I'm glad to see he has been trying to take those steps to better himself for himself and his marriage. I think for Jen, even things like the relation to Ben Affleck, I think she unfortunately took something that may have actually been a joke in the family as a full truth. And, it's unfortunate because then it made her look silly and like she's
Mhm.
making this up to make herself look better. But I do believe there's like this halfway ground when it comes to Jen. And I think she wants to have that strong backbone and stand up for herself. And I think she's still learning how to do that. And sometimes when you see someone who's really learning how to just stand on their feet and come in, it's clunky and they tend to be a little bit harsher than they need to be, especially that conversation she had with Jesse. It went a little too far on both ends, but I don't think she was ready to come in the way she wanted to. And I think she was feeling guilty about that as well. And, I applaud them for giving her that pause and that space to really work on finding a place that is healthy for herself mentally.
Mhm.
It's hard because I also feel like Zach could have done a better job of like the Ben Affleck thing, for example. Like, obviously, she got that from his family, and he was
Yeah.
trying to make it seem like she just completely took this out of context and, like,
Mhm.
misrepresented it. And she was like, "But no, your family has always said this." He's like, "Yes, but as a joke." Like, I feel like he was gaslighting her a little bit
Right.
of being like, "Well,
Yeah.
it was a joke, remember?" And she was like, "Well, but like, I didn't really get the joke. And so I just repeated what I was told." So I think he was trying to protect his family while also throwing his wife under the bus when it's like,
Mhm.
just be like, yeah, my family's joked about it, but like also acknowledge that like she wasn't intentionally trying to misrepresent that. And
Right.
obviously,
Right.
when they filmed season one, I don't think anybody expected the show was going to blow up the way that it did. And
Right.
it was going to be scrutinized every little thing that they said.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, there were certainly ways that you could also see he's gaslit her on several things. There was something specific she said in the first episode as well, when she said, "I've spent all this time believing that I'm the problem and that I'm too sensitive." Those words came out of his mouth
Yeah.
multiple times. And you can
Yes.
tell a lot of this, the way he was rolling his eyes whenever she would just say anything at that moment. There's that conditioning that he has. He's been doing that to her this whole time. And even though he's trying to get better and do better, which, I need to see a little bit more because
Mhm.
the way he spoke to her was absolutely unacceptable and deplorable. And I have content even up from a couple months ago where you could see this pattern between them where daughter, their firstborn, said mama first. And she had it posted up on her TikTok, and the
Right.
look on his
Yes.
face when he was like, "No," she said, "Dada," and he looks at this infant and he's like, "Say Dada," like very odd. And it's
Mhm.
very bizarre. As a parent, you're like, "Oh my God, my kid's speaking for the first time." You don't care. Like, is there maybe a little part of you're like, "Well, you should have said mama first," but you're not going to be that almost hyper aggressive about it. And there are just enough things that I've seen with Zach that I'm like, you need individual and couples therapy, in my
Yes.
opinion. Armchair quarterback.
Did you feel like his intentions were pure coming back in and trying to sit down with Demi and Jesse, or was he just trying to save his image?
Save his
Oh,
image. I don't think
absolutely.
he
Save his
would have,
image.
yeah, he would have never recognized how awful he had been to Jen if the entire internet had not been calling him out on it. I think he would have just stayed right in that. And I think he still would have had that scraggly Karen bob too if everyone hadn't been
Yeah.
making fun of his hair.
I didn't like the hair. When he cut it, he
Glad
looked
he cut it.
so much better.
So much better. A little less Gary Busey.
A little less,
Uh,
yeah.
okay, thoughts about Whitney. She was the season 1 villain. This season, I feel like she came in, and similar to Miranda, I feel like she kind of just fizzled, you know? She didn't really have a strong, I mean, I guess she had strong moments with Michaela, but I just feel like we didn't get a whole lot from Whitney. And I feel like I remember when I interviewed her before the first season aired last year, and she very much, and I asked her, I go, do you think Demi and Jesse were coming hard for you because they were trying to be the new queen of Mom Talk? And Whitney was like, yes, I believe that. Clocked what they were doing from a mile away. And it kind of seemed like she saw through Jesse and Demi. And then this season, I feel like she just completely, bowed at their feet and was like, all right, if I want to come back into Mom Talk, I have to just be loyal to them.
I felt like she was latching. She tried to
Yeah.
latch onto Jen. She tried to latch onto Demi. She knows that that's her into the group. So it wasn't, I mean, she had an okay season, but she was kind of just all season trying to latch onto somebody, get her story across, latch onto somebody else. She didn't work for me this season. I don't mind her, but she just didn't work for me.
Do you know where she won me over? And I can't, you guys, I can't believe I'm saying this. Caitlin Marshall, kind of like Whitney Levitt. It was her friendship we saw with Jen. When she came to Jen's home, she started cleaning up for her. Remember, she's been doing that all day at her own home with the kids she has. The way she supported Jen, she didn't tell the girls that she was struggling with her mental health. She went ahead and kept that secret for her. That is where I was like, okay, I see. For me, sometimes all I have to do is see someone be kind, and I'm like, oh my gosh, you're not so bad. Now, I think she had really needed that step back after the internet was like, oh, light it on fire when it comes to Whitney. But I think that we did get a few moments from her. Let's just go ahead and call a spade a spade. This was the season for Demi to be our villain. And I think Whitney was perfectly fine stepping aside for that. But I didn't find the friendship she was trying to have with Demi and Jesse to be genuine. I think she just needed to find her way back in to Mom Talk. Again, it's very similar to me how Miranda was trying to just play it safe. I think Whitney was trying to play it safe to find her way back in. And I think she did miss friendships with some of the girls. Clearly not all of them.
Yeah, I loved how Whitney just had such conviction the first season, which I guess we kind of had this season as well with her fallout with Macy. What did you think about how Macy wanted essentially an apology out of Whitney, but Whitney was like, "But I don't feel that way, so I'm not going to say those words because that is not how I feel."
I liked her being real about it.
You
Yeah.
I
don't
liked
want a
her being
fake
real about it.
apology anyway, right? You don't want an
Yeah.
apology that you know is not genuine. So why are you going to keep asking for it?
Mm-hmm.
Would
No, I
Is it
appreciated
better
that.
though to kind of just at least give what you know your friend needs in that moment and be like, "Listen, I know you need
Mhm.
this, so I'm just gonna give you these words to validate you." Whereas Whitney really was just kind of digging her heels into the sand.
You
Well,
know, I
there's a
was
way you go
expecting,
about that.
right.
Yeah, to me, it's I'm sorry for how I made you feel. I'm not sorry for the lessons I've learned from it.
Hmm.
So there's a way to find that middle ground there.
That's good. That was a good one.
That was a good one. I actually really liked pivoting to Michaela. I thought Michaela really brought it this season. I thought she
Sure
really
did.
faded
Mhm.
into the back last season. I didn't really care for her. All we really knew of her was the sick mom from Mom Talk because she kept talking
Mhm.
about her skin. And then this season, she really kind of found her voice. We got to see her personality. She was not letting up on Whitney at all. She kept
No.
her foot on Whitney's
On
neck
her
the
neck.
entire season. It was what did you think, Christina, of Michaela this season?
Any chance she get, it was almost comical when people would make comments like, "Do you think you and Whitney could ever mend your friendship?" No. And then she gets up and goes to the bathroom. She was very unapologetic. And I think that, like I was saying, the season two, like it shows their real personalities more. And we got to see her being, a hard ass, especially when it came to Whitney. And no, I'm not going to accept your apology. And this is how I feel. Kind of, she could have easily said, I'm going to accept your apology for the sake of mom talk. And everybody else seems to kind of be, going towards that way. But it was nice that she didn't, because it gave her her own little thing. Like, oh,
Yeah, I agree. She finally was able to really, I mean, even though her voice was really just the antagonist to Whitney the
yeah.
entire time, she really was not afraid to give it to her and be like, no. I feel like her and Demi were the two that were the hardest on Whitney this season. But I feel like I liked getting to see some personality from Michaela. I think just last season, Whitney and Taylor and also Demi and Jesse had such, and Jen with Zack, they had such overpowering storylines that the rest of the girls really kind of just faded into the back.
Mhm.
Yeah, and the little feud between Whitney and Michaela, this may sound weird, but I enjoy that one because it doesn't feel so heavy and dark,
It's like
and
a
they're both
lighthearted,
funny.
like back and forth, right?
Yeah, it's just kind of funny. It's very like housewives coded and it's silly sometimes, and now it's not silly for them. I recognize that, but I love our little Blair Waldorf over there. She is
Oh,
just not the way she would not even give Whitney a centimeter. And
no.
Whitney wouldn't let it completely tear her down. And that's part of what I like about Whitney. Again, oh my God, I'm saying I like Whitney Levitt. Here we are. But I'm liking that about her, that she does not let anything deter her, really. She's just like, yep, okay, you hate me. Let's move on. What's for dinner? I'm like,
Right.
girl, love that.
Layla. I felt like Layla really fell flat to me. Maybe more than any of the other girls, more than Miranda, more than Whitney. I feel like Layla just really, it's hard because she's the youngest and she's so
She
young,
is.
and just watching
Mhm.
her, you can see how she doesn't know who she is. And
Right.
she caves all the time. Every time someone says something, she just agrees with them. And she just, you can tell, doesn't really understand herself or know herself at all. And she just goes whichever way the wind will blow her.
Yeah, she's easily influenced. And again, just like you said, it goes to her age. I think that she wants to be on the side of what's right. And I think when she's got someone like Demi chatting in her ear, and then she'll hear from Taylor and she'll hear from whoever, it's like for her, she doesn't know where to land because she's easily convinced and influenced by whoever is speaking to her in the moment. I think that for Layla, she just wants, she kind of is one of those, if she were more, I would say, confident in who she was as a person, she could even be that force multiplier. But, because she tries to get along with everyone. And we do have to have a few of the girls who aren't in it heavy. I mean, listen, the mess she was, instigating by showing Taylor the group chat that was just about Taylor. She did go ahead and get something in there, but she needed to stand up for Taylor at the Saints and Sinners party if she was
Right.
going
And
to
she
do
did.
something like that, like stand on your business.
Right.
Well, see, this is where I think Layla was just easily influenced by the producers. I think the text message and the pregnancy game, I
Oh,
think were
that was
both,
horrible.
I think
100%.
those were both producer plans, and they just knew Layla was the easiest one to, one, give her some sort of insertion into the group, but two, they tell her, let's play this pregnancy game, and she's innocently going to be like, yeah, let's do this pregnancy game, which, all of production knew that both Michaela
Right.
and Macy were pregnant because they had already filmed the FaceTime with them. What was it, like a week or two earlier? So they
Mhm.
knew that those are the two that were pregnant, and they knew that they wanted to hide their pregnancy, and this was their way of, you know,
Yeah, I didn't like that. That was really, because we've seen a lot of crazy things on all these shows, right? But
yeah.
when it comes to pregnancy, you should never ever try to out someone being pregnant unless they are ready to do it and they do it themselves. I felt like it felt pretty diabolical to me, and I know that's a strong statement, but even though a lot of us are quite irked by Demi, my heart broke for her because of how many negative pregnancy tests she's looked at over the years, and then to finally pick one up and not know who it belonged to, and it was positive, and the joy on her face for a second, but then realizing it probably isn't hers. I mean, to me, you protect pregnancy. You never know what can happen with someone's pregnancy. And there are plenty of people out there pregnant who don't want to be, wouldn't be these women. But that, to me, that is something you just don't touch. And I was really disappointed they did that. It really, it broke my heart.
The game
because it
was
was
a terrible idea. And
yeah.
I don't know. I mean, they all agreed to it. They were laughing. They were so happy. And then they look at me and they said, "Oh, hold on." And it's like, how did you forget? Your friend told you before you even
Mm-hmm.
peed on the stick that she was triggered by this. And then
Mm-hmm.
or you can't do that. And then at the end say, "Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't realize," because you knew the whole time.
They
It
should have
was
just run them underwater or something instead of actually taking them,
Mhm.
yeah.
If they
That
didn't
It
was
was
want it. And that's
twofold.
not totally on them. I'm not putting
Yeah.
all of it on them. There was an entire group effort from behind the camera all the way to the front of the camera.
Mhm.
And I don't know, it just didn't feel right.
Well,
In
No.
my opinion.
twofold, right? Because not only Demi, with her fertility issues, but then you have both Michaela and Macy that I'm sure don't want this to be their pregnancy moment. Because then, one, they're lumped in together,
Right.
and two, this is not how you want to reveal your pregnancy.
And
Right.
they were happy about it. How can you be happy about it when it's also not your fault, but breaking someone else's heart? You
Mhm.
know?
Yeah, I think. I mean, I agree with you that at least run it underwater, and then that kind of saves you, and then it
Yeah.
saves
Right.
Demi. I mean, I just think Demi was going to end up in tears regardless of what,
Agreed.
because even if they all came out negative, it was just going to be another reminder for
Yeah.
her that she's still not pregnant.
Mhm.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And it was nice to
Um,
see Jesse go comfort her in that
Mhm.
moment as well.
Yeah. So we saw Michaela's pregnancy reveal. I feel like we really got to learn a lot more from Macy this season. We learned about her ex, we got her book deal. I feel like this was really her season to shine.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Her his family seems like they were well-to-do people, that they were involved in her life, which is nice to see that side of, a person and their entire backstory. I feel like seeing his family really put it in perspective for her. Oh, this is why you got your book deal. This is your Lord. This is what we were waiting to hear from.
Yeah.
Mhm. I mean, she has such a tragic backstory. I mean, it's unfathomable to me. And, while again, Taylor technically is that force multiplier, I think it's actually Macy that brings everyone together. And I think, now dare I say it, Taylor is our founding mother, but I feel like Macy tends to be a little bit more of a leader within that group. And she's not afraid to go toe to toe with anyone, but she also doesn't go so low that you're feeling like she's just being cruel to be cruel. I really appreciate Macy a lot.
Yeah, she's the glue that holds the group together. Because even in season one, she was the one that wouldn't allow the other girls to alienate Whitney.
Mhm.
Hmm.
Even though they all hated Whitney and Whitney treated her awfully, but yet she still continued to give Whitney grace and find ways to bring her back in. And then this season too, she kind of held the group together, whether it was Michaela versus Whitney or the other girls versus Taylor. Like, she always found a way to kind of stay in the middle and help kind of keep people from fully falling apart or
Hmm.
leaving the group.
Yes.
Yeah, I agree. She's definitely the heart of the group. And I like that we got to see more from her. I like that we got to get her backstory with her pregnancy and her ex and, and then seeing her pregnant with Michaela. I like that we had the two besties
Mm.
that now we get to
That was
watch
sweet.
them go through their pregnancy together.
So cute.
Um, okay, Jesse. I feel like I really hurt for Jessie this season because you could tell she wanted to be loyal to Demi. You could tell. I mean, the reality is the two of them were lumped together in season one. So if Demi's going to say that she was the fan favorite, then it was collectively with Jessie. So for this season, Demi to really ditch Jessie, I think you could see that hurt in Jessie. That
I
pain.
cannot on any level understand how she would. I don't know, maybe Jesse's a greater woman than I am, because if I had a friend who was willing to push me out of a group just because I have any type of success from a completely separate business over money, and then to go badmouth my business, and I mean, I just find that's where really Demi lost me the most, is that's supposed to be your bestie girl, and she's been such a good friend to you. Not to mention when Jesse brought up how she has done these women's hair for free. I used to be a licensed hairstylist. The business, that whole industry just was exhausting. But I also was licensed in doing hair extensions. At this point in time, that is like $4 or $5,000
Mhm.
worth of free services and product that Jesse is doing for all these women. And then you have some nerve to go badmouth it. I find that wild. Then don't ask her to
Wild.
do your hair, because I know what it's like to be the hairstylist who goes on the group trips with the girls. You're always doing everyone's hair. If you go to some other stylist, then you're the one who has to come in and fix it. Things like that. It's just completely wild to me that Demi could just toss her aside like that.
Well, okay, so can I was unclear on exactly what happened with the situation where Demi wanted to ice Jesse out of the group. Is it because Jesse was asking for more money, or
They
how,
both
like,
were.
what they were both asking for more money, right? But weren't they all coming together collectively saying we all want a pay raise for the new
We all
season?
did,
And then
right.
how did Jesse end up on the outs from that?
Well, from what I understand, I'll say allegedly just to be safe here, is that Demi looked at Jesse, who's already millionaire from the
Right.
empire, the hair empire she has built, and was like, "You don't need the money as badly as my family does. So why are you asking for more?" And that's when Jesse said, "Well, guess what? I'm not leaving. I'll take the deal, whatever they're offering me."
Yeah.
And, Demi felt that because she was a fan favorite, that's why she deserved to go ahead and get that pay raise.
I don't know. I get it that Jessie does have more money because her business is more successful and is obviously thriving more than some of the other ladies who rely on like brand deals or rely on
Right.
TikTok. But if you're gonna come into it collectively, what does Bethany call it? Favored nations. If you're all favored
Yes.
nations and you're all on the same page, you all started at the same. I would understand where Miranda should get less money because she came in second season. She doesn't have the
Mhm.
seniority, or Jen takes a pay cut because she didn't fulfill all
Mhm.
of her episodes, and she only gets an episodic rate where she's there, where the episodes that she is involved in, she gets paid for that. That I get.
Yeah.
But, just seeing Demi turn on Jesse so many times was, I don't know, disheartening because it felt like they were
Yeah.
such a unit in season one.
Yes, and, season 1, Demi, part of what the allure about her was that it felt very real. She felt very genuine in a lot of her reactions, and it felt like now she was kind of coming in like, "Well, I've got the whole internet on my side, so I'm fine. I can do, say, be whoever I want."
See, but I don't feel like she was the fan favorite of season 1. I feel like she had some
Mm.
good points where the audience was on her side when it came to, like, Jen and Zack, but
Mhm.
outside of that, I didn't feel like Demi was the biggest breakout from season 1 like she seems to think she was.
No, I think what it was that we had not really heard much of Demi until she was on the show. And so I think everyone was surprised by how much they liked this girl and thought she was funny. They just appreciated her. I don't necessarily feel that there was any one breakout star from season 1. I think that, we were just trying to get to know them. If anyone's the breakout
Yeah.
star at the end of the day, it's Taylor, whether love her, hate her, however anyone feels. That's just how it is. It is what it is. She's got that X factor that you see the light when she walks in a room, right? And, not everyone has that. And she does.
Taylor and I think Whitney were the 2 breakouts from the 1st season.
I would say Whitney definitely too. Whether, it was negative or positive for Whitney's part, we were all talking about her the most.
Yeah, those were the 2 that I think were the most discussed, and also just the biggest, they held the biggest presence throughout the entire, even Whitney, who wasn't even, she didn't film with the other girls very much. A lot of her
Right.
episodes were solo scenes, whereas, but yet she's
Homesteading.
still, yeah, but she was still able to hold those scenes on her own. I also like that this season we got, her husband to really step up and speak out about their marital issues and
Oh,
kind of
yes.
relate at the, what was it, the holiday, was it Friendsgiving or was
The
it
Bake Off. Yeah.
the Bake Off?
The Great Mormon Bake Off. Yeah, I thought just seeing him coming in and speaking on that as well, I liked the way he approached it. I know they were being supportive of Taylor, and I felt that it was really sweet and kind even after Whitney and Taylor had all that, I'll say all those falling outs. And, I appreciated what he had to say about that. And, it didn't sound like he was necessarily in favor of them, of Taylor and Dakota rekindling things, because he knows how tough it is. And if it's not already on that foundation, it's going to end up the same way.
Okay, let's talk Taylor. I feel like Taylor had another really strong season. Taylor's family scenes to me were so wild this season.
They
Watching
were
them, like
intense.
the backyard scene where they're sitting in the back and having a barbecue, and Dakota's there crying to her family, and they're taking his side over hers. And when the dad turns to her and he's like, "Well, you slept with him," and he's like, "And what does that say about you?" I was like, "What?"
That
Mhm.
triggered so much in me. I could never imagine my father, my husband, we have daughters, saying that to any woman in their lives, let alone your daughter. I was taken aback because I have never seen a father say something so cruel, truly cruel to his daughter.
Yeah, I think it's the misogyny within that religion that it really goes so deep. So much in the language of the way Taylor would speak about the relations she had with Dakota. You notice she would say, "Well, you or he came over to my house and effed me," right? Instead of saying, "And we slept together." You notice the way she goes ahead and gives him the possessive term. On top of that, she continuously refers to herself how she feels that Dakota viewed her as trash. That's because of that misogynistic aspect of this religion, that you are trash if you are having premarital relations, and how
Yeah.
she feels like she's being punished for not only being intimate with one person she is married to for the rest of her life. And it's a deeply shameful thing, and I think for us as viewers to see even more so the way her mom just sat there and let it happen. I mean, as a mother, I'd be like, "Excuse me, sir.
Let's
Love
take
you
it
so
back.
much."
Right, like
Yeah,
like
don't
I
speak to her that way.
right.
Yeah, it was
It took me
painful.
aback.
It
Even if
was.
you like, let's just, for devil's advocate, say, okay, maybe that's how the dad really does feel, but at the same time, you also should validate your daughter and stand up for her against this
Mhm.
guy that's not your family, that, has cheated on her and has done her wrong, but oh, but he felt bad about cheating. So because he feels bad and wants to make it work, therefore we should just move on from that a little slower. And even the mom was kind of like, listen, in the church, marriage is sacred, and you have to find a way to make it work either way because now you have kids. And I was
My
just
jaw dropped. My
Yeah.
jaw
shocked.
dropped, y'all, when she said, "Well, Taylor, you need to find a way to make it work." I went, "Ma'am, first of all, if I hate you, my mama loathes you, okay? My mother from Oklahoma loathes you. And let me tell you, the way we already saw, her mom was still in contact with Chase and Miranda for business. I get it, it's business. I get it. But I'm sorry, honey. If I hate you, my mama loathes you, and that's the way it's supposed to be. Like, where
Absolutely.
where are we going? What are we doing? Are we screwing up this man's credit score, or are we just TPing his house? What's happening? You tell me, baby, how far we're going, and that's what we're doing." So it just kind of showed most likely what the dynamic has been for a very long time. Again, Taylor is still self-blaming also because she doesn't have that, her mother really being on her team in that way, at least in certain aspects. Now, her mom has shown up for her. like at the Christmas party. Do I think that was necessarily appropriate? No, I wouldn't want my mother doing that for me. I would
That was
appreciate
wild.
the sentiment, but also if you spoke to my mother that way, you're dead to me. It's over.
To say
Yeah.
the least. To say the least. Yeah.
You could tell that she wants to be one of the mom talk moms. She's like the Regina George's mom. She wants to be all up in the mix.
Mhm.
She got her new face just for the show. She's, she's doing her
Good
thing.
for her. Good for her, though.
She
You know?
looks,
Had her
Yeah.
second season glow up too.
Yes, honey. You do what you want to do. Did you go to Beauty Lab and Laser?
yes, she did. That's funny. I would love to see a crossover with them and the
That would be fun.
Why haven't we
Like
seen
City
these
Wives.
ladies on Watch What Happens Live? I'm still shocked I know it's ABC connected and obviously Bravo's
Yeah.
NBC connected, but I am like, why has
it's a
Taylor
battle
at
of the
least not been on there?
networks. Yeah,
Yeah.
NBC's not going to want to promote Mormon Wives because they feel like it's a knockoff of their
Oh.
Housewives franchise, and it's
Right.
all And
Yeah,
then in terms of
that's
like
gotta be the
filming a
reason.
crossover, the networks wouldn't allow either talent to
No.
do a crossover.
But do we deserve it?
We
Yes.
do.
It would be great, and I feel like it would only help both shows.
Agreed.
Right.
Agreed. I need to see them go to Beauty Lab and Laser.
Yeah.
I tried my first swig.
Ooh.
How was it?
Have you ever had swig?
No.
I grew up on Sonic, but
I was about to. We
it's
have
kinda
Sonic.
gross.
They have Dirty Dr. Peppers.
So that's what I
Yeah.
had. I had a dirty diet Dr. Pepper.
Oh.
It was
Did you
very
enjoy it?
yummy. I did enjoy it. It was called the Dirty Little Secret. It was very good.
Oh,
Would you do it
I
every
love
day
that
though?
name.
No, I couldn't do it every day. But they
No.
only do it like what, once a week? Or do they do it? No, some of them get it every morning.
Every morning, the 64 ounce.
I couldn't
Yeah.
do that. It's just too much sugar. It's too sweet. Like the
Yeah.
caffeine, I can do coffee all day, but it's the sugar for me.
But they can't have hot caffeine. That's not allowed in the
That's-
Mormon religion.
That's what's so strange to me.
It can be
Okay,
cold.
let's talk about Vanderpump Villa because we
Okay.
have this crossover. We're left with this spoiler. We're left with this big bombshell at the end of the season, similar to season 1, right? The bombshell with Dakota cheating.
Right.
This season we have this hookup. So the reveal from Marciano wasn't about Demi, it was about him actually hooking up with Jesse. And he claims not only did they make out at Tom Tom, but that they had done more, insinuating that they've slept together, and not just once, but seemingly multiple times. Were you shocked by this news, or were you kind of like seeing that this was the direction that the spoiler was going to, or that the cliffhanger was going to fall on?
I had questioned the blind item making out in public because who would make out in public if you're a known reality star? I was like, what's the situation? So when he said that, they had made out, I was like, okay, well, there's that. But when he went as far as to say they did more, that's when I was shocked. And then that's when I had a lot of questions because Marciano is not the most, honest person. He's shown that time and time again. He has toxic male energy. I don't like the videos that he puts out. I think they are attention seeking. I have strong feelings about Marciano. That being said, as a person, if you are going to go as far as to say you slept with somebody who has a family, you're either that diabolical or it happened. And, sometimes it's like where there's smoke, there's fire. So it's like, do you want to believe that this person could be that terrible or did it really happen?
Like Jackson Kristen, remember? Kristen
Right.
was denying, and then Jax was like, no, it really happened. And then, truth be told, it really
Right,
happened.
and yeah.
Yeah. So because obviously they used my content speaking on it at the end, which I didn't know where that context was going to go. I was shocked. You should have seen the video that was taken of me watching it going, what?
Send it to us. I want to see that.
Yeah, I was, what? I don't trust Marciano. I want to make that clear. And on top of that, for me, and I think we all most likely have the same agreement that we need that receipts proof timeline screenshots. Now, again, I did know someone that happened to be there, and they were texting me at the same time. And I found out they were going to be on Vanderpump Villa before anyone else did because Marciano was walking around saying that. And so that's why when I mentioned that follow-up video I made when Jesse had said this is not true, because listen, if I'm going to take what someone very specifically tells me, and I made it clear when I made the video, allegedly, this is the blind item. Could this actually have happened? Because it sounded like there were a lot of people around. And when Jesse said no, so I said, okay, so tell me, are y'all going to be on Vanderpump Villa? Because I also wanted to put in there, look, it's not just the blind item saying that there was some at least flirtations happening. Now, again, Demi and Jesse, they look a lot alike. I think also Marciano fabricated in his mind what happened with Demi. So this would be a really out there fabrication to create in your mind, because I think it was delusion when it came to him and Demi. I really do.
There was no, she could not have been less interested in him.
No, I think she was people pleasing, but she was flattered.
Yes.
But see, Hannah and Hagen came on my show and they were saying, but they were out there for such a long time. They were out there for hours. That how do you platonically, and Hannah, I guess I can't say this other part because Hulu made me cut it out of the interview. But there was more, I guess, like, I don't know. It seemed like there had to have been something in that conversation if they're out there for that long. I mean, if you're, married, are you really going to be chatting with some guy for hours on end?
And
so,
what are you talking about?
Yeah, I think she was flattered, and then it went. This is just, and listen, I'm not Demi's biggest fan right now. Let me be clear on that. I think she was flattered, and there was a little bit of people pleasing inserted in there, and it went too far. I found it interesting how he's been so adamant, Marciano, up until this point. Yes, there was all this chemistry between Demi and I, and that making that content saying, oh, a 30-year-old Mormon wife got you disinvited from the Hulu premiere because she didn't want her husband to find out. And then suddenly in the finale, he's saying, if Brett weren't around, do I think anything would be different? Probably not. So it was a very strange flop. And there are a lot more questions. It's confusing.
It is.
So Jen, in my interview with her, said that that receipts will be shown in the new season, and that I guess she holds, and I asked her this specifically because watching reality TV and Housewives for so long and seeing how hard Jesse and Demi came at Jen, I asked Jen, I go, do you think the reason they came at you so hard was to discredit you early on so that should you say anything about them down the line, they've already made it look like you're a liar or that you manipulate the truth? And so I felt like Jesse and Demi coming in already strategized how they were going to try to chop Jen down, and just the way that they, really try to convince Zack that Jen, isn't honest and she doesn't tell the truth and she manipulates things and she twists details for her own benefit. Jen seems really confident that she's going to prove something. I don't know if it's a Demi thing or a Jesse thing or what it is, but I just spotted very early on, very similar to how I spotted earlier on that Jesse and Demi were trying to taint the group against Whitney in season 1. I felt like they were going to try to do the same thing with Jen in season 2, which made me then want to think to the motivation, which would make sense if Jen does have dirt on them.
So Demi threatening a cease and desist.
Yeah.
If let's play two sides here. So let's say all Demi has told Jen, or all that Jen has on her, is what Demi went on the Vial Files and said was that she is claiming that allegedly Marciano had groped her. Now, if she had said this she said to the girls, my assumption was that might have been like Jesse, maybe, and Jen. And then she made them swear up and down, don't ever tell anyone, not even your husbands. Now, if that is the only thing Jen has on her, then that's pretty awful if that's what she's threatening to out. But the way Jen, Jesse, and the other girls who were at the villa have been so hard at Demi in the comments saying all these things that also seem really far out there to me. I can't imagine Demi would have Marciana on a speaker phone call in front of the women at dinner being like, yeah, so I'm going to leave Brett for you. That seems wild to me. And that's what they're all claiming. And I'm like, if you don't have proof of something like that again, it's like, you got to have some proof here. And it's really bizarre to me. So at the same time, what if Demi is coming out saying that this is what I told Jen? And it can't just be that now, in my mind, to still need to send a cease and desist,
Right.
or
Yeah,
at least
see,
threaten one.
No, I think she did send one. Sending a cease and desist. I mean, and listen, let's look at Housewives history. When
Yeah.
do you send a cease and desist? When you want someone to stop talking about something, probably because it's true. If it's not true, then you're going to face the rumors head on, and you'll probably bring your own receipts to prove why it's not true. You only issue the cease and desist. I mean, and it's really common in Beverly Hills, right? Russell issued a cease and desist when he found out that the other women were talking about the abuse. And Denise issued the cease and desist when she found out Brandy was talking about their affair. So you only issue the cease and desist when there's something you have to protect and you don't want the truth out there. So in this case, I believe that Jen has something on Demi, and I believe Jesse has something on Demi. And I think that's why Demi wanted to assert herself as the queen of the group, because then they would just bow down and be loyal to her the way we see Layla and Whitney be loyal to her. And Jesse was loyal to her until Taylor came in and fractured that friendship by outing the real Demi, because Demi was arguably the closest to Jesse.
Right.
But if you could fall out over money that quickly and easily, then were they really that close?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They remind me of Meredith and
Lisa.
Barlow.
Lisa.
Yeah.
Yes. No, I totally have seen that.
Remember season 1, we were like, they look alike. We can't really tell them apart. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, it is parallel for sure.
There's a lot of the Mormon wives. What do you think we're going to get in season 3 or season 2 part B?
Whatever's coming next.
Right. I'm really interested in the Marciano of it all, just because, I mean, it's a hot top. I want to know. I want to see more of that. I want to see more of Taylor. I feel like I want to see Jen's comeback. I want to see it all. I want a season 3. I want a second part of season 2, and then a season 3.
I hear that whatever they've filmed, whether it's season 2, part 2, or season 3, that it's even wilder and crazier than what we've seen these last 2 seasons.
You know, I think it's going to be interesting since Demi walked out saying, I'm done with mom talk then. If Taylor's saying, which, yeah, I wish people on these types of shows would stop issuing ultimatums of it's her or me.
Yes. Oh.
Stop doing that. Stop doing that, because it turns the audience against you. We want to see, if you're there, it's because we want to see you and both the other person you're trying to give the ultimatum on. I think we're going to see Demi trying to still insert herself back into mom talk as a queen bee. I think she's not, I don't think she loses well. So I think she's going to be really asserting herself even more. She's not going to come crawling back the way that Whitney did, in my opinion. I think that we will be seeing more of Chase and Miranda, which, you know, I think would be great. I think that bringing on Chase and his girlfriend, that was, I mean, he really brought it in that short amount of time. He really did. I think that we are going to be seeing, hopefully, maybe Taylor dating, Taylor getting on, having her glow up emotionally, I would say.
Do you think she's back with Dakota?
No, I think they had a rekindling at Stagecoach. Don't you try and trap me in here, Zack.
Well, no, because I saw them both at the premiere, and I don't know. I feel like she might end up taking him back.
Oh,
I think something happened at Stagecoach. We know they filmed there. And I think they just enjoy having the physical aspect of their relationship, but they're kind of reaching that point where they know they just are gonna be toxic if they're like full on. And I think they enjoy the cat and mouse game with each other. I think they really do. I think poking each other on social media is their version of foreplay. It's just
that's so true.
Yeah.
They're
So,
probably still hooking up, but I don't think they're
She put
in
out
a
an
relationship.
emotional video yesterday about how she chose, leaving him, blah, 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 making it seem like they're not together. But I didn't know about Stagecoach. I didn't know they were seen together at Stagecoach.
mhm. Yeah, those pictures are gone now, but I will also say, I'll give you one here. I think we will be seeing a lot more happening in Jesse's marriage.
Yeah, well,
Mhm.
yeah, if she's cheating. Well, here,
Right.
I think that there's another swinger in the group. I think that there's another open marriage. I don't know if it's Demi's or Jesse's, but I think there's more swinging going on. That's kind of my prediction.
Mhm.
And I think right now, Whitney is friends with Demi, and I think Layla's probably somewhere in the middle. Um, but I think Demi's gonna have a really hard time clawing her way back into the group. But I think she's gonna fight tooth and nail, and she's gonna take down Jesse and Jen any
Mhm.
chance she can, and Taylor.
I yeah, I think she's going to use Whitney and Miranda to get into those group events where she can.
Mhm.
Yeah, we'll see. I think
Another
Mhm.
singer. Let's see.
she's not going down
I
without a fight.
listen, Zach, I think you are onto something with the there being someone else who might have an open relationship thought. I'll say
Mhm.
that.
Who do you think it is?
It's I don't know, who do you think it is?
I think it's either Demi or Jesse.
If I had to
It's
get
I
not
spitball and
Whitney.
guess, I would say Jesse. I mean, I don't know.
mm,
Or maybe it's both of them, and maybe they've been swapping the way that the husbands are a little too close and the
Yeah.
wives were a little too close. And again, if the relationship wasn't that deep that money can very easily come in and fracture that, then to me, I'm like, well, then what was the substance? What was the foundation of this friendship, if not the swinging?
yeah. I mean, I
I
I
think they've
just think
seen each other naked for sure.
well, probably. I mean, girls we that's all the time. But, I think that I think for Marciano, I'll end my thoughts on it with this. I think for Marciano to have such a strong conviction to go in like that, I think that there is a lot more because listen, he may be just like Jax Taylor because he is very Jax coded.
Mhm.
To put your whole self out there and be like, yes, absolutely, it happened multiple times.
Mhm.
Now, we've seen people boldface lie plenty of times ourselves. But I think there's got to be something more, even if he is exaggerating something, is my opinion. Again, I will remind y'all that Jesse did deny that there was any making out in public in the content I made. And I want to, stand on that integrity of
Yeah, she commented on
including
your
that.
video. I saw that, your TikTok video.
Right. Now, you do have to question then if it was nothing, then why are we having it be at the forefront?
Mhm.
Is my thought.
There's something. There's more
There
something. There's a
has to
twist
be.
somewhere.
Like Marciano sucks, but like, is a person that diabolical? And it's like, well, of course, he's a
Could be.
man, but
Well, but look at Jax. Jax, as diabolical as
right.
he was always just willing to out
I
himself and out
Right.
anybody
Himself.
else's.
That's
Like, he
what's
never
terrifying.
lied about anybody, like, sometimes he'll lie about his own stuff, like donating to
Right.
cancer through his cameos, but, like, but when it comes to when he has an opportunity to throw somebody under the bus, he loves it and will run over
And
you
he'll do
back
it.
and forth as many times as he can.
Yeah, it's like, how Paige DeSorbo said she was raised by Lindsay Hubbard. I really do feel like Marciano was raised by Jack Taylor. He's watched for too long.
He's watched. That's funny.
Laura says if it's an open marriage, then it technically
Mhm.
wouldn't be considered cheating.
That would be true. And
Yeah.
I also want to remind y'all that Jesse, her husband Jordan, and Marciano made content together in maybe a day or two. I think they were all in Vegas after that rumor was going around. So
Mhm.
I don't know. To kind of
What
be
if
like, hey,
Marciano
we're good.
joins them?
Caitlin, question. Was that dinner where the making out allegedly happened, was Sheena at the dinner?
Oh, Sheena's in the
I
middle of a lot of it. This I heard that
listen, where
Sheena's
there Where there's a will, Sheena Shea will find a way, honey.
Right.
I
I
was
don't
like, Sheena, how are you always in the middle of this?
always.
I know
Like,
that there was photos before the dinner. I didn't know if Sheena was actually at the dinner.
So what I know is they were at Sir and Tom Tom both. Now I don't know if I don't believe Sheena was in the room when my friend was in there. I will say that, and because this friend like isn't public like that, I don't want to, you know, give any clues as to who they are or anything. But they just it just
oh,
was a coincidence.
wait, remember we had this? Okay, Megan said because Sheena said the LVP called her and demanded to know what went down. Remember that? And then Sheena came out and she's like, Lisa only calls me when she needs something. And she called me to find out something about one of her other employees.
That all makes sense now.
Now it's all coming together.
That could be a connection. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe Lisa was calling to try and decide if she should go ahead and give Marciano a second chance on
Like,
Vanderpump
Marciano's
Villa.
probably now going to be on Vanderpump Villa again next season.
We know Lisa knows how to run those businesses, honey.
She knows when to keep somebody around. Even Dodie, when she hated Dodie, she still kept Dodie on Vanderpump as long as she possibly could until the very last second when they fired her.
And is an EP on the show she's on now. So
Yeah.
she'll go ahead and take a paycheck from them if she can. Uh-huh.
Yep. All right. Well, this was fun. We'll have to once we have some announcement or some teaser for the next season of Mormon Wives, you'll have to come back and we'll have to redeliberate. But Caitlin, people can follow you at Besties by Caitlin. Christina, people can follow you at the Bravo Babe. Where else can they go and support you?
The Bravo Babe, all the social platforms. So X, Threads, Instagram, TikTok.
Yes, and I will be recapping. It's going to be a lot. Each and every episode of this second season of Mormon Wives. So you can find Besties by Bravo, the podcast, anywhere you listen. I am at Besties by Caitlin. It's spelled Caitlin. I'm on Instagram, TikTok, and on YouTube. So first 2 episodes will drop tomorrow.
Ooh.
It's a lot. These episodes.
It is a lot. There's so much in them.
It's so jam-packed.
Especially the first 3 episodes, 2 and 3 with the party was just wild.
Y'all, it is hours of note taking.
It is. When Jessie walked out to the police and she said, "Do you watch The Secret Lives of Mormon Wives?"
That was hilarious.
That was my favorite.
By the way, those 2 cops were quite attractive. I was like, is that what all the cops look like in Utah? My God. They were very attractive. They looked like the strippers for the party.
I know. At first, I thought when we saw the trailer, I think because Bravo has deceived us so many times,
Yeah.
I was like, oh, these are probably strippers. It's probably a prank. And then when we saw it play out and they were like really cops and they're like the neighbors called and there was fighting, I was like, oh, this is like actually
This is real.
like real.
Yeah. Wait. Okay. I know we're wrapping up. I do have one question.
Yeah.
What did y'all think of the Demi and Chase part in that Halloween party?
That was so bad. Like the way she misrepresented that and she's like, he just put his hands on me. That was wild.
She was
I just wanted to
her
hear
man to come down full testosterone and go crazy on him. And
right?
He didn't even really do anything.
He did that straight guy thing where, you know, it's like whenever they kind of boop each other in the chest very gently to be like, hey, bro, I want your attention, but I'm not going to do the feminine thing of like touching your arm or your shoulder. He was just kind of like, yeah, okay, well, where's your husband? I was like, girl, please. I think that, you know, Talyor and Dakota used social media as their foreplay. I think she used that as her foreplay with Brett. Just wanted to get him all riled up.
Daddy. Yeah.
He could have grabbed her arm. He could have nudged her shoulder. Like there's so many other things that I would have been like, okay, fine. Like he did make contact, but this was so like he barely even touched her. And
no one needs to be touched if they don't want to. Like, and I know none of us here are saying that it's okay. Like if you don't want to be touched, there's no excuse. But you just say, don't touch me. You don't go, oh my God, daddy, he touched me.
Or you say he touched me, but the way she phrased it to him was he put his hands on me.
Hands on me, yes.
Wild.
Which obviously the other 2 guys flipped out. The other 2 husbands, like understandably flipped out because like it made it seem like he had struck her in a very different way. Yeah.
Or like slapped her on the butt. Yeah, Jordan was riled up, to say the least.
See, and that's why, but the fact that both husbands, both Jesse and Demi's husbands, were
Brett was
that riled
mhm.
up makes me think that there's maybe some other swinging that's going on.
Like some sort of possessiveness over Demi.
Yeah, that's his second
dual
wife.
one.
Do you
At that
ever
time,
wonder what the relationship with Demi and Angie from Salt Lake City Housewives is? Do you ever think that they had like, you
Oh.
know, feel like if Demi is this way with everybody else, how was she with his ex-wife?
I have a feeling, Angie Harrington could give pretty well as good as she gets. I don't
Right.
think I think Demi would be wise enough, I would hope, to not try and buck up to Angie Harrington.
Mhm.
It's not necessarily the same thing as going up against, say, Jen Shaw or someone
Right.
like Meredith, what have you. But I would be immensely surprised if Demi went ahead and tried to have a contentious relationship with Brett's ex. I don't think that'd work in her favor.
All roads lead to
No.
Bravo. I always make that connection.
Are you
Yeah,
guys
they
going to
do.
BravoCon?
Yes.
I believe so. Yes.
I'm saying
I'm
yes.
like,
I'm like, yes, as of this moment.
Oh yeah, because tickets aren't on sale just yet.
No, June 6th.
yeah, I mean, Bravo. Can you we talk about your stuff all the time. Send us the tickets. We'll promote it. I'll buy my own Watch What Happens Live tickets. I've got a kid in preschool. Come on. Like, I'm trying to save up for his college.
Right?
Listen, baby, you're going to have to work on getting a scholarship. Mama had to go to BravoCon. Like, that's where we're at. Got to get real good at a sport.
All right, Christina,
Are you
Caitlin, thank
going?
you guys for coming on. I don't know yet. We'll see.
Yeah, you were that way the last
something,
one. You came last minute
I was
anyway.
every BravoCon. I'm like that. And last year I came at the last minute, but I didn't actually go to BravoCon. I just went to do a brand deal with Weight Watchers, but it was fun. I
Oh,
got to
that's
see all my
fun.
friends. So.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
Well,
hopefully
this
we'll
was
see each
fun,
other.
you guys.
Yes. Thank
Thanks,
you
guys.
again.
I loved your
Everyone, go follow
insights.
Caitlin, follow Christina at the Bravo Babe, follow Besties by Caitlin, listen to Besties by Bravo, the podcast. Christina, are you bringing your podcast back?
One day, you guys, stay tuned.
All right.
There
Well,
you
thank
go.
you guys. Appreciate you. And I'll talk to you later.
Mwah.
Bye.